As you heard, my name is Jimmy Nguyen, but in Vietnamese it's actually pronounced Nguyen. Very difficult for people to say, especially in America. So growing up, people started calling me Jimmy Nguyen or Nguyen, and it became kind of my calling card. So today, I work in emerging technologies, but I've learned over time that my mission in life is really to help empower people to win. It's why along my blockchain journeys over the past 7 years, I have been spending a lot of time in developing countries, including here in Pakistan, because I believe it's important to use the opportunities I have to empower everyone's potential to win. So today, as we are embarking on this second day of the big rethink here for Pakistan, I want to share some lessons I've learned with you along my journeys to developing countries, inspired by a framework from a book that I loved a number of years ago, which is Eat, Pray, Love. And I need some help with this as well, thank you. Eat, Pray, Love was a book by Elizabeth Gilbert that was published a couple of decades ago, and it told the story of an author, Elizabeth Gilbert, who decided one day, I woke up and I don't want to be married anymore. She got a divorce, and then she spent about a year of her life actually traveling the world to 3 different countries. First in Italy, where she did a lot of eating, and then to India, where she prayed a lot, and finally to Indonesia, where on the island of Bali, she found love again. And it turned into a major motion picture starring Julia Roberts, but it really tells the story of a woman who was really needing to rethink in life and try to find her new passions and purpose when she was facing a major life challenge. So it really is a book and a movie that I really was influenced by. And today I want to share with you my thoughts, not about eating like Julia Roberts, praying in India, or finding love in Bali, though I hope some of you do find love in Bali, but instead the lessons from my journey across these 3 developing countries: Vietnam, where I was born; Nigeria, where I contribute quite a bit of work; and finally, my journeys here in Pakistan over the past few years. But you're not going to learn to eat, pray, and love. I don't have as romantic of a story to tell you, but my lessons are about the power I've learned in these countries to learn, plan, and create. Learn, plan, and create. Let's begin with learn, which I learned about some new things in my native Vietnam. So I was actually born in Saigon in 1972 to my father and mother here. My father was a federal judge in South Vietnam, but we had to flee the country the night before Saigon fell in April 1975. And we were fortunate enough to be taken by the US government and resettled into the United States in Southern California, where I was given the opportunities with education, infrastructure, and career platforms to become a technology lawyer for 20 years, and then go on this global blockchain and emerging tech journey that I've done for the past 7 years. That journey came full circle last year when I was actually brought back by the current Vietnamese government to be a keynote speaker at their Future of Internet conference in Da Nang, Vietnam, trying to educate that current generation about how blockchain can help power a future internet. It's really interesting to have a career in which my expertise in another country was needed to help lead my native country in its current journey of digital transformation. And it allowed me to start spending more time in Vietnam and start understanding what's happening in the country. Here's what I've learned. Vietnam is booming. It's going to become the socio-economic capital of Southeast Asia. Its IT sector in particular is driving growth with over 70,000 digital tech businesses and annual revenue in that sector of over 152 billion US dollars. But more importantly, 10% year-on-year increase. That's amazing. But what has caused this? I started asking questions. Well, first, there's clearly education. It is rooted culturally in Vietnam. I can tell you my parents made sure that us kids went to school, studied hard, and were driven by education to succeed in America. And what was surprising to Western journalists and observers almost 10 years ago was the results of the 2015 Program for International Student Assessment, which found that Vietnam ranked very high 8th in science and about 22nd in math, above other leading countries such as the US and UK out of 72 surveyed, even though it has a much lower income level. And the observers were surprised by this, wondering how is Vietnam creating this Vietnam effect, as they called it, where education quality is high even with low income. Now, it's not surprising for me to stand up here and say, well, Pakistan needs to focus on education to actually drive growth. But it's this science and math education which has been responsible from 10 years past for the digital evolution that's happening in Vietnam today. But the more unique thing I learned was not about normal learning. It's about Vietnam's advancement because of its investment in edtech and e-learning. So the message I have for you today is not just about learn, find new ways to learn here in Pakistan. Let me read you some statistics. Vietnam actually began its journey into e-learning in about 2006 and 2007. But it was the COVID pandemic of 2020 and 2021 which accelerated it and led to a lot of investment. So that last year, Vietnam saw the rise of over 100 startups in edtech and e-learning. It is now one of the 10 fastest growing markets globally in e-learning with annual growth of 44%. And most importantly, the government this past year enacted a new education society scheme which aims to increase the quality of their human resources. And here are two of the goals, that by 2030, they want 90% of universities in Vietnam to actually use digital and e-learning, and 80% of other institutions to do so as well. This has actually really driven a lot of the digital entrepreneurship in Vietnam as people got used to online platforms. And so I think it's an important lesson that I didn't realize until I started spending time in Vietnam, which is about the power of e-learning. And it actually explains one project I'm involved with, which is helping a Thai company that's in the ad tech space called Vatic, which has an algorithm with artificial intelligence to serve digital ads to you without website cookies, launch a new business adding blockchain capability called Block ID, to use blockchain to verify, for example, that companies respect those opt-in permissions you click on websites all the time, and also track the journey of digital ads to make sure the correct companies are paid for driving you to the ad. Well, this company, by an American founder, is based in Thailand. But you know what? He's moving both the existing and the new blockchain company to Vietnam. We've been spending time in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City to prepare for this. And the reason he's doing so is he believes he's maxed out the tech talent in Thailand. As he's moving more into AI and blockchain, he saw the rise of the digital talent in Vietnam. And it is leading a company which has significant success already to move to a country where the digital education has empowered a new generation that will be better than where he has his company now. So that's another lesson I want to leave you with. Find new ways to learn, including digitally. To learn also means not learning as humans. We see that now learning is about machines. And I'm also seeing a lot of evolution in Vietnam to lead the combination of smart cities and smart devices with learning better with machine learning of data and artificial intelligence. One of my friends who is Korean American but lives now a lot in Seoul launched an office in Hanoi of his investment firm, Trident Global Investments. And he's investing a lot in Vietnam and encouraging me to do more business there. He's working with Daewoo Construction Company, one of the leading Korean conglomerates, as well as others, on a mega development project in Hanoi called Star Lake City. It is Vietnam's first demonstrative smart city, a mega project of homes, businesses, and other establishments. And one of the unique things they're doing is partnering with two other Korean companies, not to invest only in this real estate development project, but to develop a smart city management platform for this city, and that can be used for other cities to take the data from devices in the city and optimize urban development, to optimize the journey of cars, to optimize air quality. And it's a powerful lesson in how data created by young people with technology learned from digital learning can create new ways not just for humans to learn, but for our cities, machines, and everything around us to learn. It's an exciting project, and I hope to be visiting it soon, and I hope you do as well in Hanoi. So that's learning. Second, I've seen the power to plan. I've spent a lot of time in Nigeria and with Nigerian companies recently due to some friends of mine called Dominion Blockchain Solutions, a Nigerian company also based in the UK, delivering blockchain solutions to enterprise and government. And with them, I've been trying to use blockchain to grow the digital transformation of the country, which is led largely by these two gentlemen, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, who's the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, and my friend Kashifu Inuwa Abdullahi, who's the Director General of the National IT Development Agency. They've provided good leadership to help plan, not just at the government level, but also in combination with the private sector. I've even had the opportunity at the Digital Nigeria Conference last year to help teach Kashifu how to take a really, really cool selfie, because he's trying to rock the digital world. But more importantly, while I was there last October for that conference, the government had just passed the Nigeria Startup Act to incentivize the creation of more startups for digital transformation in the country. What does the act do? It does several things. For example, it is established an online startup portal, a one-stop place for startups to register, apply for all of the government license they need, even register their intellectual property, and apply for funding. It also creates the opportunity for startups to do crowdfunding on the online platform, which is now permitted by the Securities Exchange Commission there. And it also established a technology development zone with incentives for startups, as well as the accelerators and incubators who can support them, and requires the country to create a startup investment seed fund with a minimum of 10 billion Nigerian naira, which is about 21.6 million US dollars per year, just to help start the growth of the economy. But most importantly, which I want people in this room to understand, is the planning they did in this act also gave tax and fiscal incentives to create startups, which are very important for people like me from the foreign countries who are looking to support companies there. So there are qualifying startups that are exempted from income tax for a period of 3 years, and investors who are entitled to investment tax credits equivalent to 30% of their investment in a qualifying startup, as well as other incentives. And finally, most importantly in this act, for those looking, such as in Pakistan, to attract foreign investment, they put in provisions to assure foreign investors that you could repatriate your funds and investment out of the country, because that's critical to attract foreign investment. There are certain requirements to make sure you fill out certain paperwork to document the investment went in properly, but it's designed to signal to foreign supporters that if you invest in a company in Nigeria and it's successful, you can actually get your money out of Nigeria under the right circumstances. This is an important lesson in planning for the future growth of technology. We also help them plan education. Through my last organization, which is the BSV Blockchain, with whom I worked with Mohammed Salman Anjum here, we helped with Dominium launch a blockchain development education program with the goal of educating over 300,000 young people in Nigeria, starting with a scholarship program, awarding scholarships to this program to 30,000 Nigerians. I was very happy to see, even though I'm not involved directly anymore, the first cohort graduated last month, and it's a step in planning with private sector partners the world of education to fuel this economic growth. And finally, just this past month, the country passed what they believe is the first comprehensive national blockchain policy for any country in the world. What does it do? It creates a legal framework for adoption of blockchain technology. It's a country saying at the policy level, we support blockchain here. It encourages the blockchain use not only in the public sector, but also the private sector. It incentivizes education for blockchain, and it also creates an entire implementation committee at the national level with representatives of over 20 government agencies, as well as private companies, such as my friends at Dominium. This is a powerful lesson in how a country at the government level, in partnership with the private sector, can plan, can send the signal that we want this technology to drive economic growth in our country. We don't like cryptocurrencies, like a lot of people don't like that trading, but they really believe in the power of the data usage of blockchain technology. I'll be returning to Nigeria to help them with this adoption of this blockchain strategy, which is very complicated, as you can see on this chart, with many different components. But we'll be talking about it more in October at the government's Digital Nigeria conference, which I have the honor of helping to organize. So if you can get to Abuja in October, I will see you there. Final step of my journey is into here, Pakistan, where I have really seen the power to create. And when I say create, it's not just about creating replicas of digital businesses that have been successful before. I see that across the world. Uber worked in the US, let's create a clone here. Instagram was nice, let's create a clone of it in another country. That happens here, which is totally fine, I understand. But one of the lessons I've seen is about the unique power of people I've met in Pakistan to create marketplaces and products that did not exist before. It's a risk, it's harder, but it is the key to ultimate growth. You heard about one of them before, our first speaker this morning, my friend and colleague Mohammed Salman Anjum. He's very humble, but let me underline right here how innovative it is that he is doing. InvoiceMate, which I am proud to be a founding board member of, is creating an invoice financing marketplace that has never existed before. His first product, managing invoices on a blockchain, that's nice, it's okay, I told him that. It's not innovative. When he came to me and said, we're going to use the power of our blockchain tracking of invoices to give banks and financial institutions more confidence to actually lend against invoices so that SMEs, small, medium businesses, truck drivers, pharmacies here in Pakistan can get cash faster than they would otherwise be paid on their invoice and improve their financial access to do more business. And their blockchain technology can convince banks to create lending pools of money, and they can create a marketplace to pair the customer base that they're generating from partners such as Jazz Business, Mentor Health for Pharmacies, the Pakistan Freelance Association, with banks and financial institutions they have signed partnerships with already, such as Mobile Link Bank here, Zindigi at JS Bank, and now in the UAE, Holiday Growth, and create a new marketplace where we empower access to cash faster with the power of digital technology. That's to create. You also saw this, because we hear about metaverse all the time. People think, why am I going to go watch entertainment or sports in the metaverse? And I think that's coming a long way away. This idea to create a useful metaverse service center that they can sell to government entities. So instead of going down to a live government office to apply for your travel visa and do an interview, to be able to do it in a metaverse environment from the comfort of your home is revolutionary. It's something I do not see around the world. An idea that when presented to me, I went, wow, that's actually a real business use case of metaverse, where they can replicate that and customize it for any government entity across the world. Zindigi, led by our friend Noman Azhar, which is the new digital all-in-one finance app from JS Bank, is doing some interesting things. The idea of an all-in-one finance app is not new. I see them around the world. But what I discovered is that Zindigi is doing some new things, allowing users to customize the app with widgets. That's very new and creative. But also they partner with Dow PropTech, a property tech company here, to create new real estate investment products within this app. That's creating something new. And it's an example of this creativity that I see here in Pakistan. Finally, I've been spending quite a few meetings and conversations with our friend Amna Manwar Awan, who many of you will know from her many business holdings here in Pakistan across different sectors. She also has a think tank, the Center for Pakistan International Relations, and has been reaching out to me for help to partner on driving blockchain education and growth in this country. And I like that. She came to me and said, I want to work with you. We're not sure what. We're talking about it. We're signing a memorandum of understanding this weekend. But I'm taking my own advice by saying, let me work with someone and we will find a way to create something new. And it is a lesson that I've learned watching Mohammed Asfar Hassan, our host here, in creating environments where we can do all of this: learn, plan, create. He asked me, yes, please give our host a wonderful round of applause. He asked me to talk about what's next. A lot's next. Here are things on the screen. You've heard about lots of it already. We don't have to talk about them all again, but no, there's so much more. Edge computing, robotics, brain-computer interface, BCI, the Neuralinks inventions of the world. And I'm seeing a big drive to even space tech. These are all fields with the right ideas for new ways to learn, plan, and create that the people of Pakistan should be thinking about how to drive new leadership in. So how am I implementing all of this in what I'm doing now? Since I've last been here, I've had some new announcements. I recently joined the executive board of 77 Ventures, an investment agency and platform out of the United Kingdom and London with 2 partners, where we are trying to use digital technologies to support creative industries and new companies there: entertainment, media, sports, arts. And what our work is trying to do is to encompass all of those things, to help educate startups, to help them plan to succeed, and to create new works in the digital world. One of our first big separate ventures is called the Meta Center, where we are actually building in 5 global cities across the world, starting in London, and secondly, we're hoping to get going soon in the UAE and Dubai, and then Singapore, Sydney, and Miami. A real estate complex, a physical complex to bring the metaverse to reality to you, anchored by a performance center or theater where technology is fitted to help combine the physical experience you might see with the virtual experience. But beyond that, we're going to have an academy to teach business executives and creative professionals new skills. We're also going to have a production studio and services to help companies and government entities create immersive experiences. We'll have a startup incubator hub and much more. So it's an entire ecosystem and platform to help a new generation learn, plan, and create new immersive experiences. So that is my lesson from my journeys across developing countries in rethinking what we can do to help Pakistan and other countries win. It's not as romantic as Julia Roberts, to eat, pray, and love, but it is to learn, plan, and create. The lessons I have learned across these journeys from Vietnam, Nigeria, and Pakistan. So about 20 years ago, I went back to Vietnam for the very first time since my family had left in April 1975. I toured Saigon, now known as Ho Chi Minh City, as a tourist. But I also took a moment to actually find my parents' house from years ago. I thought it was going to be this, big home, and it was just down a gray, alley-like little street. I went with my tour guide in, found the door, stood in front of it in this little alley. Then this old man came out from right next door. He asked, "What are we doing here?" We said, "My family used to live here before the war ended." And then he took one look at me and he said, "You were the baby." And that moment I realized, yeah, I was that baby. But a baby who was fortunate enough to be taken to the United States, raised by a family who had a hard time as immigrant refugees. But I was fortunate enough to be given the education, the opportunities, and the career platform to fulfill my potential and to continue to fill my potential. And it is why I've decided to devote part of my life now to helping other people fulfill the potential to win. It's a big vision that I have, but it's a vision to create a world of win, where technology and innovation can empower potential, to enable everyone, everywhere, including here, to join the global footprint with digital information and digital commerce. It's a world of win where we can all engage more directly, peer-to-peer, with anyone across the world, to connect, linked, even enhance with artificial intelligence. It's a world where everyone everywhere has access to technology to communicate, to compute, to engage in a global network. It's a world of win, unleashed by the power of blockchain technology, which can make us lives more efficient, automated, honest. It's a world of win that is driven by the monetization, ownership, and control of data, the most valuable commodity we are creating in our digital age. It's a world where the digital transformation strategies of this country can improve the business of every sector and the lives of every citizen. It's a world where the ideas created here can help advance the sustainability of our entire planet. It's a world where the inventions of Pakistan can contribute to the homes, cities, communities that are smarter, stronger, more autonomous. And it's a world where your work can lead to a life that is not just physical, but immersive and alive in a new metaverse. It's a world of win, where we can empower the potential of every human, every business, and every country. Whether you're from Vietnam, where I know the power to learn. Nigeria, where I have seen the power to plan. Or here, Pakistan, where I witness your power to create a world of win.